So for somebody out there with almost no training, reading through St. Thomas's commentary on the Apostles' Creed, it gives them a degree of confidence where they're able to say, wow, I'm reading St. Thomas, and this is really helpful. I'm really able to understand the Catholic faith. Maybe they're even reading this next to their normal catechesis, reading through the Catechism of the Catholic Church. So yeah, for people who want to go out there and say, oh, I'm going to read through the Summa, it was dumb for me to do that. I should have started in other places. You definitely want to start with those easier works that are proportioned to your understanding, for sure. I think one of the most important works for like the beginner level is a work of his called the Compendium Theologiae. It just means compendium of theology. He actually wrote this for a lay brother who was basically his scribe. He wrote it for him because even the guy who was St. Thomas's assistant, funnily enough, wasn't a theological genius. He was kind of just a friend of his who was a lay brother. And he asked him like, hey, I want to understand more of what you're saying and what basically what he was sitting and writing for St. Thomas. Kind of funny. So he was like, hey, I want to understand more of what you're actually trying to communicate. So could you write me basically a handbook of theology, a small little handbook with, short explanations and arguments that I myself could understand and read. And that's what ended up becoming the Compendium Theologiae. Unfortunately, he died in the midst of the beginning of the second book, which is on the theological virtue of hope. But the first book is on the theological virtue of faith. So he goes through the doctrine of the faith pretty comprehensively and discusses a lot of the more complex topics he discusses in other areas of his work that take up multiple pages. He'll discuss it in a paragraph. And really, it's one of the best syntheses of theology ever written. I think it is the best, actually, on par with like the Breviloquium of St. Bonaventure or the Enchiridion of St. Augustine. It's just such an amazing work. One of my favorites for sure.